The first presentation will be on juvenile justice reform in Afghanistan by Professor Hamed.
It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon and share some thoughts from Afghanistan with you. I'm going to talk a little bit about juvenile justice in Afghanistan, focusing on the juvenile delinquency law reforms and the structure of new juvenile courts. You know that Afghanistan, which has a rich legal history, is now in the process of ending more than 2 decades of wars and conflict. And our country is now entered a new period of reconstruction. Central to this rebuilding and reconstruction effort is the program of legal and judicial reforms. Reform that will establish institutions to bring legal reforms in various parts of the legal system of Afghanistan. Actually, after the collapse of the Taliban regime in late 2001 and the establishment of a new democratic government, there was a need for legal reforms in various parts of the legal system of Afghanistan in order to consist with the new international standards and the needs and necessities of Afghan new civil society. Therefore, the Bonn Agreement in December 2001 called for the establishment of a judicial commission. The Bonn Agreement is the agreement that when the Taliban regime was collapsed in 2001, the Afghan political parties came together in Bonn city and they agreed upon the structure of a new democratic government. So the Bonn Agreement specified that the Afghanistan Interim Administration, with the assistance of United Nations, should establish a judicial commission that should be charged with the rebuilding and reconstructing of the domestic justice system in Afghanistan, in accordance with the religious principles, new international standards, the rule of law, and the legal tradition of Afghanistan. The Bonn Agreement also called for the establishment of a constitutional commission. So the new constitution was drafted and then enacted by the members of Loya Jirga, or the National Grand Council of Afghanistan, in January 2004. The constitution prepared the ground for the legal reforms in different parts of the legal system of Afghanistan. So the Judicial Commission started to bring some reforms in some part of the legal system, but one of the priority was to rebuild and reconstruct the juvenile justice system in Afghanistan. And the reason was because children in Afghanistan were the victims of more than 2 decades of wars and conflict. Not only wars and conflict, but many other problems, including lack of good education, lack of health care, lack of good programs for the children development. Because the government believed that children are the generation that are expected to rebuild our destroyed society, to rebuild our country. They have the right to have opportunity for development. They have the right to have good education. They have the right to have health care. In Afghanistan, we have a famous proverb that says, if you want to predict the future of a society or the future of a country, you have to look to the new generation, especially to children of that society or that country. the situation of the new generation is good, they have access for good education, they are being developed, they are smart, so the future of that country or that society will be bright, and that country will have a prosperous and good future. But if the new generation is not being developed, if the new generation have not good opportunity for good education and healthcare, so the future of that society will not be good. And this is the reason that legal scholars have come up with the idea that juvenile justice should be separated from that of the adult justice. Therefore, the Judicial Commission in Afghanistan started to bring some reforms in juvenile law, and especially juvenile delinquency code. Because even before the wars and before the conflict in Afghanistan, the juvenile system was not good, because we have just one court for juvenile. It was just in Kabul, and it was one level. So they brought some legal reforms, which I will start in the slides. These are the two articles that the Constitution focus and make the government duties to pay attention for family, and especially children. Who is a juvenile in the legal system of Afghanistan? According to the legal system of Afghanistan, a juvenile or a child is a person who is under the age 18, or a person who is not completed the age of 18. But just one difference is in the marriage issue. According to the Afghan family law, in marriage the legal age for marriage is, for boy is 18 years old, and for girl is 16 years old. But 15 years old also, if the father of the girl is agree, so 15 years old girl marriage will be valid. But under 15 years, no marriage will be valid. But in the tradition of the people, there are a lot of marriage even under the age 14. So the new reform started to modernize the justice system of Afghanistan. So they enacted a new code for delinquency. So this code is in 8 chapters and 66 articles. Mostly they try to be consistent with the International Convention on the Right of a Child. In this in the new law, they raised the age of legal responsibility or criminal responsibility for children from 7 years to 12 years. Before this reform, 7 years old, more than 7 years old child was responsible for crime or for delinquency. So according to this law, under 12 years old child will be not responsible for the juvenile delinquency, but if the crime include financial or material damage for the victim, the father or legal representative of the child will be responsible for that. So, expansion of the juvenile court to all provinces. Before this reform, we didn't have courts in all provinces. Just in Kabul, which is the capital of the country, we had just one court, and that was just one level. In provinces, we didn't have court. Now, according to the new reforms, we must have courts in all provinces, and the court should be 3 levels. But unfortunately, because of the problems that in some provinces we have, the conflict and some other security problems, in some provinces, especially in the south, we still don't have courts. We have 34 provinces, but some provinces still don't have juvenile courts. The next issue is professionalization of the juvenile courts. The law emphasized that the people who work as a judge or lawyers or attorneys in juvenile court should have special skills and training in juvenile law. Reduction of the punishment, according to the new law, they categorize children into two categories in terms of punishment. So children who are from 16 to 18, the punishment will be half of the punishment of an adult criminal person. And children who are from 12 to 16, the punishment will be third of the punishment of an adult. For example, if an adult punishment for an adult is estimated 3 months of prison, so therefore the first category will be just 1.5 months, and the second category, children punishment length will be just 1 month. The right to have lawyer or attorney, that before that they didn't have the right to have attorney or lawyers, but still according to the Minister of Justice just 2 weeks ago, they announced that Afghanistan now have just 400 eligible lawyers and attorneys, while it needs 21,000 lawyers or legal defenders. So that is the big problem in Afghanistan. This is the categories of the children. According to the new law, children are divided into 3 categories. One, we called it غير مميز. غير مميز means a person who is not able to distinguish between good and bad. And second is مميز, we call it. مميز is a child who is able to distinguish between good and bad. Third is نوجوان. نوجوان is a child who is adolescent or a child who is more than 12 years old. So the 2 categories, just the last category, who is 12 from 18 years, will be responsible for crimes or delinquency. The 2 other categories will be not responsible. This is according to the new reforms. The difference between just the